Welcome to the Mouseka Bros podcast. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm his brother Randy. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at the Mouseka Bros. We'll be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure you subscribe to get the latest podcast. If you have any suggestions for upcoming shows or just want to say hi, you can email us at mousecabrospodcast@gmail.com.
If you're planning your next Disney destination or Universal Orlando vacation, you're going to want to reach out to me, Ryan Noppinger, with Capture the Magic Vacations. You can reach me at ryan.noppinger at ctmvagent.com. This is a no-cost-to-you service to use me as your travel agent. I'll make sure you get the best vacation package or deal for your whole family. I can also help make dining reservations and plan fast passes to make planning your Disney vacation less stressful and more magical.
On today's episode, we're going over our Mouseka Bracket rules and randomly selecting our round one matchup. The bracket this year will be movies. To go over some simple rules real quick, there are 4 divisions. There's Disney animation, live action, Pixar, and then the last division is going to be Marvel / Lucas. We wanted to include Star Wars, but not put it in the live action. So episode 50 will be round 1, episode 51 will be round 2, episode 52 will be round 3, and then episode 53 will be our quarterfinal, semifinal, and final, kind of all in one extravaganza. It'll be epic, cool. Probably won't be that great, but we'll have fun with it. We'll have fun. So to kind of go through rules of what we're doing this episode. We're going to pull names from a hat to determine our round one matchups. It's a glass jar. It's not a hat. We're basically going to kind of start in the upper left corner with the first division and then just go all the way down. The first division is Walt Disney Animation, and basically just keep going down the list, going through each division and randomly assigning the round one matchups, right?
Yeah, and then kind of at the end of everything, we'll post in the best way possible some sort of bracket or image to Facebook so everyone can keep up to date with what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that basically we'll go through this whole bracket. Based on our opinion and kind of our thoughts, we'll determine what the best movie is out of the matchup to find the overall best Disney movie. We'll either kind of agree on one or there'll be a tiebreaker, and each tiebreaker will be different for each round. So make sure to listen for that round when we decide that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Is there anything I'm kind of missing?
I don't think so.
Well, actually, so how we determine what movies are going in each bracket.
That's a good point.
Is the highest grossing overall, including domestic and international.
Yeah.
So how much that movie's. Yeah. So we took the top 16 of each division, and you'll kind of hear what they are, and we might even say how much it made globally when we pick the name, so you know how much it is.
Exactly, yeah. But before we get into that, just as a little housekeeping, we are still doing a giveaway and now until the end of March, and all you have to do is please leave us a review if you don't mind, wherever you listen, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Google or Stitcher. Just leave us a review, take a screenshot of that review, and then email that screenshot and your address information to mousecabrospodcast@gmail.com. We'll send you either a Mouseka Bros podcast button or sticker while supplies last.
So please do that. That kind of helps us grow as a podcast. Or reviews, we'll take them into consideration. Your emails. If you ever have comments, we want to hear from kind of our listeners, from you guys.
Let's get right into the bracket, shall we?
So we're going to start with the first division, which is Walt Disney Animation. And we're just going to start picking them.
Go ahead. We'll pick every other. So I'll pick first. Let's see who the first matchup is here. And it is Tangled. Came out in 2010. And globally it made $586 million, which is going up against
Frozen, which came up in 2013, which made $1.2 $1.27 billion. That's a hard matchup right away.
I know. I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't get this peeled.
I know. I think I knew who I want to win, but
All right,
anyway. All right. So the next matchup will be Aladdin. This came out in 1992, grossing $504 million globally. And who's it up against?
Zootopia going up 2016, making $1.03 billion.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, dough, cash. It's a lot.
I know. And well, it's like, I feel like this is going to be hard because I'm going to like a good majority of these movies.
Yeah, it's going to be harder to, I think, pick. Yeah. We say that now. Who knows?
I know. Who knows? It might all change. So the next one is Ralph Breaks the Internet. Came out in 2018, grossing $529 million.
That is going up against Moana. Came out in 2016, making $637 million globally.
Nice. These are good matchups.
Yeah, these are good matchups. These are super hard to peel. Oh my gosh.
I don't know why we made them so hard to peel, but we did. And why we say we peel, we made labels for these, and we are putting them on a sheet so we remember how to update the bracket. So yeah, that was probably a great idea.
All right, I got it.
That would have been funny if Ralph Breaks the Internet would have went up against Wreck-It Ralph. Because the next matchup will be Wreck-It Ralph that came out in 2012, grossing $496 million. Globally, up against
Beauty and the Beast came out in 1991, making $438 million. Again, came out in 1991, so it is not the live action with Emma Roberts and Josh Gad and all that. So just take that with what you will.
All right, go ahead and put that down. Take your time. I mean, really.
It's super hard.
All right, so the next matchup will be Bolt up against who?
Well, what did it make? You didn't read all the stuff.
I know. I said I would say that, and now I'm forgetting. All right, so Bolt came out in 2008, grossing $328 million.
Going up against Pocahontas, 1995, $347 million. So there's like hard matchups, in the beginning, but then there's like matchups where I don't think either one of us necessarily are like gung ho about the movie.
No, that's this one. I think
like this matchup, like it'll be interesting to see when we actually like do it, whether it's the same or not.
All right. So the next matchup we have Dinosaur, which came out in 2000, grossing $356 million,
which is technically animated. It's like live action before it was live action, but it was inspired by like, I don't know.
It's animation straight, man. It's straight animation. It's what the Dinosaur the Attraction ride is kind of like,
right? But it's like animation.
Iguanodon.
Right, I understand, but like animation is in quotes. All right, it's going up against Frozen 2, 2019, making $1.4 billion.
Sad there. Interesting. So again, this is the kind of the bottom of that division. So any one of these four teams could go up against any one of the top teams so far, which is interesting. All right, the next matchup, The Lion King came out in 1994, grossing $986 million, which is crazy.
Going up against Big Hero 6, which came out in 2014, making $652 million.
Ouch. That'll be an interesting matchup.
So coming up on our last matchup.
I'm kind of nervous for that matchup, but the last matchup will be, and I'll let Randy read his because it somehow made the bracket this year, which, isn't anything that I'm sure he rigged. But what's yours?
So mine is Hunchback of Notre Dame, coming out in 1996, making $325 million. To me, I will do everything in my power to make sure that this wins the bracket. This is my all-time favorite Disney movie. According to what it's going up against, I think it might have a challenger.
Tarzan.
Ooh.
Tarzan came out in 1999, grossing $448 million.
Which is also one of our favorites. So
yeah.
It's going to be, I don't know. I'm excited about this because like there's just a lot of matches where like a good movie is going to go kind of in the first. So just to kind of recap. I couldn't think of that word. We have Tangled versus Frozen, Aladdin versus Zootopia, Ralph Breaks the Internet versus Moana, Wreck-It Ralph versus Beauty and the Beast, Bolt versus Pocahontas, Dinosaur versus Frozen 2, The Lion King versus Big Hero 6, and Tarzan versus Hunchback of Notre Dame. So that is our first division.
Good and interesting matchups. I feel like this always, every year, kind of like gets us, and because that's what it is. It's all about the matchups. When it comes down to it, it could be your favorite movie, but then if it's up against like one, I don't know, you like better or whatever.
Right? Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
or
really
other ones
hard.
you don't care about.
All right, so moving on to our next one is Walt Disney live action. So this actually includes any of the live action that they've made, like the remakes of Beauty and the Beast and Lion King. But this is also going to include some surprises, like Pirates of the Caribbean. We included that in live action because it was based off an attraction, and then they make the movie, and then the movie kind of based the attraction. So we included that in live action. And there's 2 movies in here that you might not know are actually Disney, and they make this bracket. And that is Armageddon and The Sixth Sense. Disney owns the right to both of those movies, so they both make it in here, which was surprising because I didn't really realize that Disney owned the rights to Sixth Sense.
They own a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, so what happened is, quick story, real quick, is that I can't remember who it was. Some guy basically bought the rights to Sixth Sense because he thought it was cool. Disney immediately fired him, and then they read the script, and Disney was like, well, this actually sounds like a pretty good movie, but we're not going to make it. We're going to allow somebody else to make it, but we're still getting the profit from it. So they own The Sixth Sense, which is pretty crazy. Anyway,
interesting. Let's dive right into this, I guess, bottom division of live action. So we have Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Came out in 2006, grossing $1.06 billion.
Going up against Cinderella, came out in 2015, which made $534 million.
Interesting.
Again,
interesting.
We're only talking slowly because we're trying to unpeel and stick at the same time, and we are not multitaskers.
No, we're not. No. That's why I'll try to talk something. All right, you got that peeled? We're definitely not doing labels next year. That's for sure. I'll make sure to tell Deborah not to go to Staples.
Yeah.
All right. So the next matchup, we have The Jungle Book. Came out in 2016. Grossed $962 million.
Going up against Armageddon, which came out in 1998, making $554 million.
What's funny too is you dropped it. Of course you did. What's funny about like the Armageddon is if you remember the backlot tour, they actually had a lot of props from this movie for whatever reason. It seems like they had a lot of props like that from other movies when they were doing these kind of older live action movies in the 90s, which is cool. Anyway, going on to the next matchup, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Black Pearl, came out in 2003 and grossed $654 million.
That is going up against Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We have it spelled Narnia. Loin, Witch, and Wardrobe.
Of course we
don't know how to spell lion.
Of course
That's
we do.
great.
Yeah.
They spelled Lion King, right? But not the... so this came out in 2005, making $720 million.
Crazy.
If you remember, it was in Hollywood Studios. They had that kind of tour where you walked in. I think it was for Prince of Caspian or something like that.
I think so for that movie. Yeah. And then
walked in.
The Witch came out or something. Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool for a second.
Yeah, I kind of. You did it like once. You're like, all right, next thing.
Really, the whole movie series, I think, was cool for like a second. And then it kind of just faded off. All right, next matchup, we have Alice in Wonderland, which is the live-action one, of course. Came out in 2010 and grossed $1.02 billion.
Oh, going up against Beauty and the Beast, coming out in 2017, which makes $1.26 billion.
Crazy. Some of these amounts are like...
Yeah, I know.
I guess I never realized...
The craziest thing is that they're all Disney. Like Disney, I mean, I know they got to like pay actors, they got to pay the people, but like Disney still oh my God, they have so much money.
Yeah, I know. They own everything, especially with now Disney Plus.
But I love it though. It's fantastic.
You know we're going to have to watch the winner of this thing on Disney Plus one day.
Yeah.
And then that would be our movie review.
I like it.
All right, so our next matchup, I get all the Pirates of the Caribbean ones. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides came out in 2011 and grossed $1.04 billion.
Going up against Maleficent, coming out in 2014, making $758 million globally.
We know which one Mom would pick.
Yeah. Pirates.
What? Yeah, you know that. No.
She absolutely loves Maleficent.
Yeah, I know. All right. So the next one, oh my, you're not going to believe it. Another Pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean World's End. It came out in 2007, grossing $963 million.
It's okay. You can't get another one. Because I got Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tells No Tale, coming out in 2017, making $788 million.
This whole bracket is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean.
It should just be called the Pirates Bracket.
Next up, Pirates Bracket. We're just going to name the best Pirates movie.
Yeah, basically. That's what this bracket is. All right, so one for the next matchup.
The next one is The Lion King, which is the live action, came out in 2019 and grossed $1.6 billion.
Going up against Aladdin, which came out in 2019 as well, grossing $1.05 billion.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool that they both come out the same year.
Yeah,
like actually,
same
like
matchup.
close.
I mean, that's a real good matchup. All right, and then so the last matchup for this bracket, because we're at our last matchup, and we have the envelope, please.
He can't open it, is why he's stalling.
I seriously can't.
Okay,
glued shut.
Well, mine is The Sixth Sense, which came out in 1999, making $672 million.
Going up against Oz the Great and Powerful, came out in 2013, grossing $490 million, which is awesome.
Yeah, so again, kind of like that lower bracket where, like the lower matchup, where it's like, we'll see which one wins. But
so as a recap to the live action one, I'm going to say Pirates a lot, but here we go. So it's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest up against Cinderella. The Jungle Book up against Armageddon. Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl up against Narnia Loin Witch. I'm kidding. It's The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. Alice in Wonderland up against Beauty and the Beast. Pirates of the Caribbean Stranger Tides up against Maleficent. Pirates of the Caribbean World's End up against Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tale. The Lion King up against Aladdin. And then last, the Oz Great and Powerful up against The Sixth Sense. And if I never have to say Pirates of the Caribbean again,
you'll be okay.
I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, to move on now to the top right of the bracket, kind of starting for Pixar. Overall, Pixar has been my favorite kind of animation, especially the studios, and then Disney bought them, so they've come out with a lot of hits. So
that's for sure.
I'm excited to see what comes of this side of the bracket. So first matchup, we have Toy Story 3 that came out in 2010 and grossed $1.6 billion.
Going up against Finding Nemo, coming out in 2003, grossing $936 million. I don't know why I struggle reading that one.
We're saying a lot of numbers. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. My brain's on overload.
Sure, blame it on that.
Yeah, my tiny brain.
Your peanut brain is overloaded.
It does not take much.
It doesn't. All right, so the next matchup is going to be WALL-E. Came out in 2008, grossing $532 million.
Going up against the only princess, I don't know if that's true, Brave, coming out in 2012, grossing $554 million.
I heard she turned your mom into a bear, I think.
I don't want to be a bear. I just want my freedom. I was about to say bear again. I don't know why. I forgot what the line was.
Wow. Anyways. Wow. All right, so the next matchup is going to be Inside Out that came out in 2015, grossing $857 million. Good movie.
Going up against Monsters, Inc., coming out in 2001, making $559 million. Again, interesting.
Because I do like me some Monsters, Inc.
It would have been interesting to see Monsters, Inc. going up against Monsters University.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I don't know which one. I think I know which one I would have picked, but I don't want to say.
Okay, don't tell me now.
I don't want to spoil anything, man.
It could come up.
All right, so the next matchup is Toy Story 2. came out in 1999, grossing $511 million. Up against
Incredibles 2, coming out in 2018, grossing $1.24 billion. Some good matchups all around. Ryan just messed up labeling this paper that we have.
It's fine. This is why we're not doing labels next year. I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe a billboard. I don't know. That's something. All right.
Maybe not a billboard. That's expensive. All right.
The next matchup is going to be Coco that came out in 2017, grossing $807 million. Up against
Ratatouille, coming up in 2007, making $626 million. Okay, we got to stop these numbers.
You're having a little trouble with numbers, man. That's fine. That's okay.
It's not numbers. It's just reading.
All right. So another one of my favorites here. Toy Story 4 that came out in 2019, grossing $1.07 billion.
Going up against The Incredibles, coming out in 2004, making $631 million. Thank goodness there's not another Incredibles, because you get all the pirates and I'll get all the Incredibles.
Or I'll get all of the Toy Stories.
Yeah, Toy Stories, that's true.
That's now my common theme is I'm picking everything Toy Story related. All right, so next we have Cars 2 that came out in 2011, grossing $560 million.
Oh, this one's got a challenger going up against Up, coming in 2009, making $731 million. Remember, Ryan, you don't want to disappoint your wife. I think that's probably her favorite movie.
I don't. All right, so you have that one put down, and then that leaves our last matchup, which okay, good. All right, so this is Finding Dory that came out in 2016, grossing $1.02 billion.
Going up against Monsters University, coming out in 2013, making $743 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note here that like Toy Story didn't make the cut, even though it was Pixar's first film. It just didn't make enough globally to make our chart.
Yeah. So, do a little recap. We have Toy Story 3 up against Finding Nemo, WALL-E up against Brave, Inside Out against Monsters, Inc., Toy Story 2 up against Incredibles 2, Coco versus Ratatouille, Toy Story 4 versus The Incredibles, Cars 2 versus Up, and Finding Dory up against Monsters University.
All right, I know. Good matchups. I can't wait until we get into it. All right, so to move on to our last division, which is a mixture of Marvel and Lucasfilm all into one, mainly because there wasn't enough of one, but we still wanted to include Star Wars.
Right.
So we kind of just combined them both, and then, again, took the top 16, which I think made a pretty good, even match.
It was actually a really good mix for all of them. Which is pretty
cool. You want to go first for this one?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first for this last one.
Change it up a little bit.
All right. So our first one, we have Captain Marvel coming out in 2019, making $1.1 billion.
Up against Avengers Age of Ultron, came out in 2015, grossing $1.4 billion.
I think there's going to be a lot of debate on this category because we've seen, almost every Marvel movie together. So, we both know them. And currently, I'm rewatching the Infinity Saga, which, if you don't know, is basically from like Iron Man all the way up to Avengers Endgame, like every movie in between. So I'm watching them in order of chronologically. So not the year that they were released, but like how they fit into the story. So these are fresh in my mind. So
I know. I feel like I'm going to have to catch up on some of these.
Yeah.
You
can do it easy with Disney Plus. Right on your phone. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
All right. So the next matchup, we have The Force Awakens coming out in 2015, making $2.6 billion. If you don't know what The Force Awakens is, it's Star Wars. We shouldn't have to say Star Wars Episode 7. So we're just going to say The Force Awakens. And that kind of goes for like the other episodes. I just want to put that out there.
Have you lived under a rock? Maybe. I don't know. Joe down the streets lived under a rock for a long time.
Lived under a lock? Wow, that's incredible.
A lock rock.
All right.
He locks his rock. All right, so The Force Awakens is going up against Avengers Infinity War that came out in 2018, grossing $2.04 billion.
So you're just going to grab all the Avengers now?
Yes, yeah. Mine's going to just be all of the Avengers on the side.
All right, so now we're on to our next matchup, which is Black Panther coming out in 2015, making $1.3 billion.
Which is crazy. I think looking over the charts, other than the Avengers, like, he was up there, like Black Panther.
Yeah, he was.
For grossing, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and awesome. All right, so the Black Panther is going up against, this might be a good matchup, Rogue One. Came out in 2016, grossing $1.05 billion.
That would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
That would be very good.
Another one of our Star Wars favorites.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so our next matchup, going to the man who started S.H.I.E.L.D. It was Iron Man, actually, so he can't, I mean, it was like, anyways. Iron Man 3 coming out in 2013, making $1.2 billion.
All right. Up against another one of his friends, Thor, but this is Thor Ragnarok. Came out in 2017, grossing $853 million. Another good one. I have to say, I am a Thor fan.
Yeah. Going through the list, it was like, I think the top 20 for Disney movies. I think that out of the top 20, more than half were Marvel and Star Wars. So it just goes to show you how much they actually make.
How much money they
like out of the top 20, probably the first 15 were all Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So our next matchup has Guardians of the Galaxy coming out in 2014, making $772 million.
Ooh, I know. They're my favorite. All right, so that up against Captain America Civil War that came out in 2016, grossing 1.15 billion buckaroos.
That's a good one too.
I know. And I think this might be the hardest division of them all, because we
like them all.
We like them all.
We like this whole thing. All right, so our next matchup, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, coming out in 2017, making $869 million.
That is up against Captain America, the Winter Soldier, that came out in 2014, grossing $714 million.
That's funny. It's like back-to-back kind of the same type of matchups.
Yeah, because it's Captain America Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then literally Winter Soldier up against Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So that's crazy and funny.
So our next matchup, I have The Last Jedi coming out in 2017, making $1.3 billion.
All right. Up against the original The Avengers. It came out in 2012, grossing $1.5 billion.
I feel like we've said the word billion a lot
in this division. Yeah, we've said billion a lot.
Said billion.
Yeah, you can just tell that, it's a little different.
So going to our last matchup, and how fitting is this that the last one, well, it's not the very last, but last matchup starts with Avengers Endgame coming out in 2019, making $2.7 billion, which is actually the overall top grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And the second one's Avatar.
Which they also. So up against Rise of Skywalker. It came out in 2019. And it grossed $1.06 billion, which again, awesome that this
like
is another matchup with 2019. Kind of both top top films.
I guess since we just mentioned it, we didn't include Avatar anywhere. It could have went into live action. It could have went into this. We didn't include it because Disney technically didn't make the movie. They didn't own the rights until after the movie was made. So if Avatar 2 was already released, well, then we would have included that because it would have been made by Disney while they own the rights. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah. So to give a little recap over this Marvel Lucas division, which pretty much is Marvel versus Lucas, it seems like going on here.
That's pretty cool.
But to give a little recap, Avengers Age of Ultron up against Captain Marvel, and then Avengers Infinity War up against The Force Awakens, and then Rogue One up against Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok up against Iron Man 3. Then you have Captain America Civil War up against Guardians of the Galaxy. And then you have Captain America the Winter Soldier up against Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. After that, you have the Avengers up against The Last Jedi. And then lastly, you have Rise of Skywalker up against Avengers Endgame. again, more good matchups, which will probably be a lot of discussion around. So definitely stay tuned to all that. Again, we'll come out with a bracket to kind of summarize, because I'm sure it's hard to follow just us shouting
absolutely.
off movie names. But, hopefully it gives you kind of a picture of where we're going. Maybe you have a favorite movie out of these, maybe a favorite division even that you're rooting for. Again, which we'd love to hear, absolutely bring that to Facebook. I want Marvel Lucas to win. I want Pixar, to win. Because out of all this, which seems like overwhelming, we have to come up with one champion.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
out of all of these movies that we love, have memories to, have connections to, it's going to be a difficult one, but we will most certainly get there.
We will do it.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, as it helps us improve the show. And as always, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
On today's episode, we're going over our March Mouseka Bracket rules and randomly, damn it, I can't say March Mouseka. The bracket this year will be movies. I can't do it with a straight face. On today's episode.
From that, we'll either send you a Mouseka Bros.